phenomenal university. And I'm thrilled to be here today to celebrate the Oregon State University class of 2012. President Ray for that very kind introduction and for the degree. I also want to thank Provost Sordala. I also want to recognize Mayor Julie Gannon, who's here, and all of the outstanding faculty, staff, administrators, and university leaders here at OSU. I also want to acknowledge Honda as well, and all of the student speakers who are going to be on the stage today. We are so proud of you all. And of course, to the stars of today's show, the class of 2012, congratulations! We are all so proud of you. We are proud of how hard you've worked, how much you've grown, and all that you've achieved during your time here at Oregon State. And I know that none of you did this alone. As the president said earlier, you all are here today in large part because of those beautiful people up in the bleachers, the folks who pushed you and believed in you and answered the phone every time you called, even when you were just home from work. So graduates, again, let's give another round of applause to your family, especially to all of the fathers out there on this beautiful Father's Day. Today is anniversary. Now, like all of you, I am here today because of my family. As you know, Craig Robinson, your men's basketball coach, is my big brother. And last fall, Craig called me up and he said that if I didn't speak at this year's commencement, he was going to tell Mom on me. and since our mother now lives with me, that threat actually still carries some weight. But seriously, I'm not here today just because Craig has turned the Obama family into Beaver believers, which he has. I'm also here proudly because of everything this university is doing for this country. You have built one of the most sustainable campuses in America. You're conducting groundbreaking research on everything from agriculture to nanotechnology to childhood obesity. You are serving others in so many ways, tutoring children, joining our armed forces, fighting hunger and disease here in America and around the world. So let me just say, I can see why Craig feels so at home here at OSU. Because in so many ways, the values you all embody are the values that he and I were raised with. Craig and I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and our family was very close. I mean, literally close, real close. My mom, my dad, Craig and I, we lived in a little bitty apartment. And for years, Craig and I shared a bedroom divided by a wooden partition to give us the illusion of separate rooms. And at night, Craig and I would whisper to each other through the cracks in that partition until one of us fell asleep, or Mom yelled and said, "Shut up, be quiet." One or the other. But while we didn't have much space, our little home was bursting with love. I mean, we spent lots of time together as a family, laughing and sharing stories at dinner each night, playing board games, card games for hours, huddled around the kitchen table. We enjoyed the simple pleasures in life, like getting our report cards because good grades meant pizza for dinner. That was a highlight. Trying to hold in our giggles as Craig put shaving cream on my dad's glasses while he napped. Sleeping on the back porch on hot summer nights. when the temperature in our little apartment became unbearable. But it wasn't all fun and games growing up. Our parents were big believers in everyone doing their part around the house. Craig often compared Saturday chores to boot camp. And my parents were even more serious about our academics. My mom taught Craig and I to read long before kindergarten started. And she spent hours volunteering in our neighborhood public school, making sure we got the education she knew we deserved. See, that was the kind of childhood. And one day, I will never forget when my brother was about to say, he asked my dad a simple question. He said, "Dad, are we rich?" To answer this question, my dad took his next paycheck from his job in the city water plant. And instead of depositing that check, he cashed it in small bills. He then came home and dumped out all that money on the kitchen table. Craig was impressed. With all that money, he thought we must be rich. But then my dad started explaining where all the money went each month. A little bit for rent, that much for gas, this much for groceries. And by the time he was done, there wasn't a penny left on that table. And Craig was shocked, and so was I. I mean, here we were, two kids growing up in a family that was just barely working class. But we were convinced that we were wealthy. We knew it. And graduates, that's what I'd like to talk with you about today. I'd like to talk about what Craig and I learned from our family about leading a rich life, no matter how much money you have. And while there are plenty of lessons I could share, there are three that I'd like to emphasize today. The first, no matter what struggles or setbacks you face in your life, focus on what you have, not on what you're missing. My dad taught us this lesson every day by how he lived his life. My dad was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when my brother and I were still very young. And as he got sicker, it got harder for him to walk. And it took him longer to dress himself in the morning. My dad had been an athlete all of his life. He was a boxer and a swimmer in high school. So it must have been hard for him to feel his body declining. To go from being an active, vibrant young man to barely being able to make it up the stairs. But if he was in pain, if he was at all disappointed with his fate, he never let on. He never stopped smiling and laughing, and even as he struggled to prop himself up on his crutches to teach us to catch a ball, or hold a bat, or throw a punch. No matter how bad he was feeling, he hardly ever missed a day of work because he was determined to be our family's provider and to be and pray the kind of opportunities he never dreamed of for himself. And there is not a day that goes by that I don't think about how our dad and how much he sacrificed for me and Craig to be the people we are today. And today, as First Lady, I see that same spirit, that same kind of sacrifice in people I meet all across this country. I see it in parents like my dad.